welcome to the witching hour. Yes, the hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. No matter when it is you're tuning in. I have some beautiful magic today. We're going to get to know her together. She's a high priestess. She's the founder of the Moon Temple Mystery School. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's an entrepreneur. She's an all around magical girl. Tahverlee Anglin. Tahverlee, thank you so much for coming on my show. I am thrilled to have you.
Thank you, Patty. I'm so excited. This is great. And I'm just my eyes are so drawn to the dolls. I feel like I'm connecting with the one in the red. It's like she's talking to me and I'm saying thank you to all of you. So thank you for the whole group for allowing me in today.
Well, you tuned right into Belle. She is my main doll of my newest book with Dollcraft. She's the one on the cover, the back cover, and she is the one in charge of all those other riffraffs over there. So you
Gotcha.
nailed it. And I have it. We're just right now as we're doing. You have many beautiful books, but you have a brand new one dropping, right? I
That's
and I just
correct.
got a copy. It literally
Yeah.
just came in the mail. So, for anybody who doesn't know you yet, and I'm sure they want to, you are a very magical, very public witch in who you're doing out there. You have a mystery school. What is your story? Were you always a witchy kid, or did your path unfold along the way?
Mm. Was I always a witchy kid? I think that I was always a very different child. I was raised by hippie parents. My sister's name is Sunshine, and I wasn't given a foundation of constraints of belief systems, let's put it that way. So it left me more free, and I had a lot of freedom growing up to explore, nature and to be by myself, and I think that that was the first seed that was planted. And for me, and I think for a lot of us really, is we explore stages in our life of where we try to create what we think is going to make us happy, the right job, the right car, the right house. And I did all of those things. And I didn't have any answer to the question that stayed underneath all of that, which is this all there is? So I consider myself like a seeker of the mysteries because I feel like even from a young age, I always had that desire to quest. Truly, like that desire to quest. And that questing over many, many, many years led me down different paths, different traditions, different areas of study. And the moment that I started to feel what's possible in the unseen realms, the moment that I said yes to exploring what the idea of magic really is, it's like all the fields opened. And that for me became this reclamation of the word witch. So I feel like I've had a lot of witch style practices in my life for a really long time before I allowed myself to even explore that word. And then, as many of us do, I kept the part of me that was like shamanic drumming on the weekends and the part of me that was studying as a high priestess separate from my business life, separate from my nonprofit work and separate from my, fitness competitions. And I had like all these parts of me spread out everywhere until one day I just knew that that wasn't the right way to be. It wasn't allowing all the parts of me to be, who I was. And that's really what opened the door to me to
Mhm.
explore what's possible in the unseen realms is when I finally stopped trying to, I guess to fit in, to be, a part of the things that would make me more socially acceptable. I've always been different. I've always been in my family. I'm that strange child that had strange dreams and wanted to do strange things and I still do. And now I just do it openly.
That is beautiful. So it became part of who you are, not just what you did on Sabbats and Wheel of the
Right.
Year and things like that into your magic.
Right.
And we have very similar, very parallel stories because no wonder I'm gonna have her on.
Yeah.
One of so tell us a little bit about, again, you have a series of the sacred magic. So is this very much an elemental magic book, or tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so I became aware at some point if I was going to write about, the traditional elements as they are, earth, air, fire, water, that they are so much bigger than that for me in the way that I teach it and the way that I've studied it. And so I decided to separate them into 4 books so we could go deep. And so we start with Sacred
Mm.
Magic of the North, and the North is the element of earth. And the element of earth is more than just the tangible, tactical nature that we can step outside and see, because the North and the earth is also our bodies. And I start with the North because I believe that all of our spiritual and psychic gifts and all of our magic lives inside of our physical flesh, or at least we experience it inside our physical flesh. I mean, that's why we're here, to be human. And so we have these like human bodies. And yet there's never a time as far back as we can study in, the evolution of the human, that we've been so disconnected from our bodies. Our bodies used to be the first artificial intelligence. Wasn't artificial, it was, you know, real
Yeah.
intelligence. And we've gotten so far away from that that I wanted to start with the North to bring us back to that first, to set the foundation to, air being our belief system, the South being our passion and our fire, and the West being our emotion. So we have to start all of that in the North with the earth and our bodies. And funny enough, the series of books came after I wrote my memoir, which is unpublished, but I wrote a complete and memoir and dove deep into my own story of how I identified, how I didn't identify, times when magic literally healed my body, times when I got through very difficult changes that happen to all of us, and how I used my spiritual path and my spiritual gifts to get me there. I wrote this whole gigantic memoir, didn't publish it. And then the outline for these 4 books was birthed. Literally, like, right after. It's like I had to get that part out first. I had to, like, write my story, and then, of course, what happened is all those little stories that I captured from my memoir ended up in all 4 of these books.
Yeah.
In front of every chapter, I share a very personal story, so I'm like, "Oh, as it goes, when you say yes to something magical, it always leads to something else." I was definitely spiritually breadcrumbed to get to this part of the books, and so now I've written all 4 books in the series, the North coming out first, but I also have another one that's coming out in April next year, in
Tell us.
2027, that is very different than the series, and it's called 13 Keys to Becoming Dangerous, a witch's method
Oh,
of sovereignty. I know, you just got that hit.
yeah, I got the goosebumps. So, okay, can you give us a hint of
Yeah.
1 or 2 of the keys, or what does it mean to be dangerous?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I still actually ask that question now. It's the keys are the answers to finding liberation in a world that wants you to be more controlled. And each key explores how today, here and now, we are facing a lot of different types of crises of consciousness and crises of sovereignty and crises of it's like everything is being disclosed right now. So everything that we thought kept us safe isn't. We know that. So then what do we do? So these 13 keys are, well, here's how to ground yourself into finding safety in a chaotic world, and it's the book that I know that I would want to be reading right now, and it came fast, and it came right as I was writing this out, so it has a lot of fire in it because, for me to write about an element in a direction, like a whole book about it, I embodied it, I lived that element, so when I was in the element of fire, becoming dangerous is the short form of what I call it, was birthed, and woo,
I
yeah.
can't wait. That's
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So in the North, right, we have to start with I feel like the North is the foundation and, you know, a lot of what I teach and the books that I write and in all of my classes, I teach on a wheel because I believe that we move through cycles and everything that we do, there's cycles within cycles, and I probably say that too much in all the books, so forgive me now. If I could go back and take out cycles within cycles, that little phrase that repeats. I believe everything is a cycle, and so the North is the top part of the wheel,
Mhm.
which is the season of winter, right? It's a slow time, and it's not the planet's season of winter, it's the winter of our soul, so it's the pause, it's the inward time, and a lot of traditions would start your elemental work on a wheel to the east, because the east is
Yeah.
the spring, it's the start, it's the fresh new day, it's when the sun rises, it's the beginning. But I started in the North to get that foundational connection to our body anchored in first. Then we're gonna move to the East and let things move again, but the North brings in that sacred pause, and it impacts our dreams, right? Being in the winter of our soul is it impacts our dreams, it impacts our spiritual gifts, it impacts how we move. It even impacts how we can access different types of magic in the North are very different. And it's not about the season outside. So I actually would think I would say that I'm in the winter of my soul now, just prior to, all the marketing and the busyness that comes with a book launch. So I've been in this, I'm calling it the great rest. I have written 5 books in the last 18 months, which they're all one is soon coming out, but I've been in a lot of creation phase. So I'm now in this rest phase before, all of the launching happens, and I call it the great rest or the great pause or the sacred pause.
It is beautiful. I can't believe you wrote that many books in that short of time.
I
Just
know.
personally knowing how hard it is to write one book or two.
Yeah, no, I
And
know.
I'm very, again, elemental in my work. Is there one element, again, since you've written in depth on each, is there one element you naturally work with more than the others or lean towards in
Mm,
your life, or do you
mhm.
just evenly them out?
Well, I naturally carry a lot of fire energy. I think that's why I moved to an island to surround myself with water to, like, keep my fire a little bit in check. I naturally sit with a lot of fire, but I believe at this stage in my own, human evolution, I really crave more time in water, more time in with a, to be, like a floaty, I prefer more time to float. And I think that that's also just the stages we go through, you know? Um, I feel like I embody all the elements now. I'm trying to think, is there a favorite one? It depends on the time of day even for me, like, in the mornings, I'm definitely all fire. The sun rises, my fire rises. I'm that morning person, I'm very productive, and then by the afternoon, I'm like, I'm very earthy. I wanna go have a little nap in the hammock. I wanna
Mhm.
let my body rest, and then I hit another peak that comes kind of right now during this witching hour, liminal time as the sun is setting. I feel that spark of fire come back in, but it's a different fire. It's a kind of fire that shines in the dark, you know? And obviously, I'm really comfortable with air because I talk a lot. I have a, big social platform, so I do a lot of video work. So I don't a favorite element, no. I like to move between the elements intentionally, even like I said, in the course of my day. That's my favorite way to work with the
I love
elements.
As a Libra, I like that balance. I think
Yeah.
that is beautiful, and again, that's what I strive for, we do. And I agree with you again that taking that consciousness starting with the body awareness, because I use terms all the time. The world has turned us into phoned in by automatic pilot, by
Mhm.
a road, asleep at the wheel, all these things we don't want to be, and we have to get back into that awareness. So
Right.
again, in these crazy times of chaos and all that we're doing, is there a is there is there a certain element that if somebody say they're energetically stuck, that would help them the most? Or is it looking at like, oh, for you it's emotion, or oh, for you it's you get grounded?
That's a great question. I teach a lot of workshops around how to use the elements to bring in balance, which is why we create a wheel. So if you think of something like unmotivated, if we're unmotivated, we might have too much earth energy. Right? We might be too heavy, and that could be from emotions, that could be from just physically being tired. I mean, we could chart the reason on its own wheel, but then we can take, all of the elements and look at them like, if I need more motivation, I might need more fire. So how do you bring more fire? You sweat, you bring heat to your body. Or maybe you need more air. You need to just lighten the load and you need to cut some cords of, what's kind of heavy and weighing you down. But you could also use water to cleanse all of the things that feel heavy. So each of the elements can bring in a balance depending on where you are. And I love the question about unmotivated because I think that another way I hear that often in mystery school is I feel stuck.
Mhm.
Right? The idea that I feel stuck, I don't know which direction to go. And
Yeah.
and that can be for a multitude of reasons, and one of the fastest ways to move out of being stuck is number 1, turn off all your devices. Like, just turn them off. Set your phone aside. Do you know that teenagers today, if the word to describe going for a walk without your headphones and your phone is called walking naked?
Really?
That's how it's described. To go for a walk without your phone is called going like, I'm going naked, and I'm like, I have a very different definition of what that means.
Yeah.
But put it aside and go do something that brings joy. Like, what you know, we have forgotten that to be human is to have fun. to seek joy, to seek bliss. And yes, we go through hard things, but those hard things make the joy even greater. And we have to do all of these things, right, to purposefully take ourselves out of the systems that want you to be scrolling, scrolling, scrolling so they can sell you more stuff so you can be addicted to the algorithm. I want you to be addicted to more fun, more joy, more time in nature. And that's something we all can do. So in a way, we all go through periods of being stuck. I truly
Yeah.
believe we go through periods of being stuck. And depending on where you classify that in your life, wherever you're stuck, focus on fire, focus on joy. And that is my puppy. He's making many in and out appearances.
That's fabulous. He's very cute. Mine is
Thank you.
napping by my feet, and she's so short you wouldn't see her anyway.
Usually you just see mine's tail. So if you see it wagging behind me, that's Moses is his name.
Hi, Moses.
Mhm.
Moses supposes his
Mm.
toes are
Mhm.
roses. So tell us a little bit about because I have a school as well. Tell us about the Moon Temple Mystery School. I looked it up a little and it looked really great. What inspired you to start that?
Several things inspired me to start it, mainly because I feel like the mystery schools that I've been to in the past, I've initiated in several different traditions. In in several of those cases, there happened to be some type of breakdown from the leader, and in fact, there's only one of those mystery schools that I think is still open, and, we're all human, we all go through, like, ups and downs as, as leaders in the community, but I saw a lot of disparaging treatment of students that didn't have a specific lineage, that didn't practice perfectly, that didn't, do everything in this script formula, and instead showed up as their unique human self, and they were not treated well for it. If I'm honest, like, that was the first kinda trigger for me to, "There's a better way." Like, this is not the time for us to create more division, especially in spiritual and witchcraft communities, and so I wanted to open a school that honored the lineages that I had received, which to me, that's what brought it together as a mystery school, is that I do teach one very specific lineage that is an initiate path that's still only taught orally. They're not rituals or teachings you would find online. I don't write about them. That's my high priestess and high priest path. And that piece kind of formed the mystery school. But I'm distinctly aware that not everybody wants to walk that path, and I didn't want to be, not inclusive of those that wanted a different type of teaching. And I love talking about magic, and there's, 1,000 ways to describe one thing. So I teach it in a variety of ways to be a fit for what someone might be interested in. And so the first reason I started the school was because I decided that that to me is not how I want to be. And I don't want others to experience spiritual teachings in that way. And so I did a thing that I think is very wise now in reflection. I probably did it out of fear, but I put a group, like a council, together to keep me in check. So when
Oh,
I founded the mystery school, I brought in a bunch of sister witches that I trust, that have walked the same lineage path that I have, and I asked them, "Can you help me, make sure that I don't become like all the other teachers that I saw eventually either spin out or mistreat someone, or just not be able to hold the bigness of it, or maybe just their time as a teacher came to an end, and that's how it happened." Um, and then from there, I brought in students and trained them to teach. So there's certain classes that I just don't teach anymore because I want there to always be a lineage of someone to come in and, keep us all together, in check, where we can learn and grow together. And it's not based upon just one person. So I don't get into that place where maybe I get too big for my britches. I see it now. I look back and think, oh, I'm so proud of myself for doing that. I think I probably did do it though out of fear of becoming something something that I saw that I didn't want to become.
right.
Yeah.
I saw that too with my school. So my school really isn't a witchcraft school. I have teachers of every different. I have a guy in Italy teaching Italian magic, a guy in Brazil teaching
Mm,
Brazilian
love
healing.
it.
I have New Agers, and I won't even let a teacher say this is the truth. They could say this is a truth or this is my truth. So we
Yes.
can't even become a cult. It's like, damn.
Yes. But that's
But I
good for you,
love
but
that you do that.
so
Yeah.
you're doing the same, and, I think that shows that we're also still students. I
Oh,
think that I mean, maybe that's
constantly.
another piece that I saw missing for a lot of spiritual leaders is that they they forgot what it's like to be a student. And I think the moment a teacher stops being a student, some which way, shape, or form, that it's easy to forget, what it's like to start and to awaken. I mean, that itself is such a precious, vulnerable time for a being to be in. And I hold that as the holiest of holy, which means you can't fuck it up, Like when you're
Yeah.
just awakening, there's no wrong way to show up. So I love that you're doing that too. And
Yeah,
right,
no, I love that.
yeah.
That is true. I always say if I go to my closest magical friends and things like if I ever think that I've learned everything and I know everything, just slap me.
And we'll hold each other accountable
We'll
now that
hold
we've
each other
spoken these words
accountable to
aloud
that.
together as leaders, that we say that
Yeah.
if we ever see each other not being students, we're gonna say,
Yeah. No,
"Hey,
no, no. It's like
go back
I've
to
learned
school."
something every day. So what do you think students are looking for when they come to you to your school? And actually what do they actually find? Do you
Mm, and only a teacher would know that those are 2 different questions.
very much?
What they want is more manifesting power. What they think they want is more ability to create life on their terms. Yes, right? I mean, purpose, definition, or
Mhm.
maybe just the questing like I did, meaning like, well, is this all there is? They want those answers. What they find is themselves. They find what lives inside of them is already enough, and they learn how to wake it up, to remember that there's way more than this tangible world, and there's way more than, riding the hamster wheel and then, going back up into wherever you think a human goes to when they're not human anymore, and then they come back and do it again until they realize that it's actually all already inside of them. It's just a matter of how to listen and how to feel and how to develop it. It's I say it's like anybody can sit down and play a piano, right? We're all born with the ability to play a piano because you literally just have to put your hands on the keys and press it and it's going to make a sound. But in order to learn how to play the piano with a sound that feels beautiful to you takes practice. And so I come in at the stage where people can learn to practice to take their sounds and make them into something beautiful.
It's beautiful. Piano lesson. Ha!
Yes.
And I love how that you brought that you say about practical magic. It's not separating your life from the
Mm-mm.
magic and how you teach people that. Um, so if somebody's trying to like, I'm trying to live the more magical life, is there like one magical practice that somebody could start today to like live that, be that versus
Well, of course, I want to teach you how to create a wheel. So to represent it verbally. I think if you really wanna learn magic, you learn yourself, because when you learn about yourself with radical honesty, you learn how to balance your energy and you learn how to express outward your energy. Because a good spell requires your ability to ground and center your energy and then push it outward and, attach it to that universal flow of energy, and that's how spells become reality, regardless of what they are, right? It requires energy, and in order to harness and push energy outward, you have to know what you're comprised of. If you wanna pour orange juice into a cup, you first have to have a container of orange juice, which means you have to know what it's made of. Um, so if you take something like a dinner size plate circle on a piece of paper, or, if you
okay,
just trace a circle and then you put an X through it, you're going to create 4 quadrants. And that very top quadrant that forms like a chalice is the north. And then you go to the right side, and that's the east, and the south, and then the west is on the left. And to the north, you write the element of earth, and you fill that quadrant in about everything you feel inside your body. Maybe you feel disconnected, maybe you feel connected, maybe you feel, powerful, maybe you feel healthy, unhealthy. Just note down everything in that top quadrant about you and your relationship with your body. And then go to the east, to the right quadrant, and write everything that you believe about yourself, true or not. I mean, it might be true to you. If you believe it, it's true to you. It doesn't mean it's universally true, right? Write everything down in that right quadrant about yourself that you believe to be true. Then go to the southern part and go into fire and ask yourself, what do I long for?
mhm,
Fill in that whole section with words and sentences. And this can just be a written exercise, right? I'm talking about a piece of paper, a circle, and an X. And then you're going to go to the left side, the west, which is water. And you're going to write down everything that you listed that you long for. You're going to fill the west side in with how will it make you feel to have that thing that you long for. That right there Doing that even once a week as a starting place is how you start to explore what your magic is capable of. Mhm.
I love that. Again, I'm very elemental and I've never even thought to doing that. So
Yeah.
every week it might look a little different, the everything I wanted and what how I
Uh-huh.
feel about it. Wow.
And then from there, you can keep a little space, empty in the center of the wheel, maybe something like the size of a golf ball, and inside that little space empty in the center, once you've completed that wheel, you could even draw a tarot card per direction, right, as you're filling this out when you're asking yourself the connection, "What is the connection like with my body?" You can pull a card and help you fill in that section. When you're all done with the wheel, then you come to the center, which is you, the spirit, the person, the being, all of the things that holds everything on the outside of that wheel inside of you. And you ask yourself, like, what is my truest I am statement right here today? If I was to write 2 sentences that start with "I am," and whatever I wrote in those sentences, I knew for sure was going to happen, write an "I am" statement in the center of that wheel based upon what you wrote. So it might be, "I am developing a better relationship with my body. I am becoming more healthy. I am learning how to feel more joy." Maybe you're gonna pull something in from the East and you're gonna say, "I'm working on my belief system about what I'm capable of earning financially." It could even be practical like that. Or it could be, "I am receiving everything that I'm longing for with ease and grace." So putting a final "I am" statement in the center of that wheel is what puts it in motion.
I love that. You guys, that's something anybody can do. We can all find a piece of paper. And again, that's going inside doing that personal work. I love that.
Yeah.
So, and doing it once a week. That is good. Um,
Or once
okay,
a
you are
month
very
even, it's big work. I described it simply, but I feel like it's big work. I mean, maybe a full moon would be a good time for you. I work everything on wheels, especially when I'm doing readings. And speaking of, I did pull a card that I wanted to share with you
oh
today.
yeah, I love that.
So one thing we didn't talk about is I also have an oracle deck coming out in September, and I don't have a physical copy of it, but what I do have is the photographs of all of the cards because all the
Oh,
cards are my own art. Not art that
really?
I created for the deck. It's art you can see behind me, I paint, it's art that I created in ritual that became a deck, which is wild. So I pulled, and so I have photographs, so right now that's my deck. I pulled the Siren, and
Oh,
this painting, stands for sweeping the ashes of what has gone, so you have a clean slate. Right? And to me, the siren comes in because I live near the water, but it's the feminine energy of, okay, I see everything. I see it's all changing. I know I've burned some bridges. Okay. I'm forgiving myself. I'm forgiving that situation because I really am just focused on what's next. Well, you can't start what's next until the floor is clean. So sweep the ashes. So pulling a card like that might mean doing a summer cleaning, like we would do a spring cleaning, clean your space, organize things, clean up your phone list, clean up your calendar, like make space for what's coming next. So that's the card I pulled for us.
for us. Now that's for all of you watching and listening too. Let's clean it up. The siren. I love that. Thank you for that. So you're very open in your practice, openly a witch. What do you think that the biggest misconception is that people, whoever they are, have about modern witches?
Muggles.
Them like I
I
call them
say
muggles too.
love, it's just hard to say non-spiritual people, which whom I have a lot of in my life. I get asked a lot of really funny questions. I think that people ask them in funny ways, but they're actually really wanting to know. So the undercurrent that I get asked most often is if I'm a good witch or a bad witch, right? And when people ask me if I'm a white witch or a black witch, I do let them know that that's racist. So I ask them to rephrase the question and they'll say, okay, good or bad. And my answer to that question is, how it depends on how you define bad. If I'm working with a woman and I find out that one of her children is going through, some type of sexual trauma and the trauma is reoccurring, the assault is reoccurring, and she asks me what to do, and I open a portal and handle the man that ends up, moving on, moving to a new city, and the situation resolves itself, would you consider that good or bad? And I use that example because it's a real example.
Yes.
To me, that I don't define that as bad, and most people will not. So, when someone wants to know, like, are you a good witch or a bad witch? They really wanna know if I'm hexing people, if I'm doing left hand path magic, and the answer is yes. But what you might classify as left-hand path is not what I classify as justice or protection magic. You know, those to me are my within my own code of ethics. And in I can't remember which of the books, it's not the North. In one of the books, I teach how to write your own personal code of ethics. Oh, it's in Becoming Dangerous, 13 Keys to Becoming
Oh,
Dangerous.
I
One of the
can't wait.
rituals is to create your own scroll of ethics. So you decide what is right for you. So I think that's the most common misconception is that and chicken bones. Why do people ask about chicken bones all the time? I'm not sure where that comes from.
I don't know. It's
I
way more voodoo hoodoo.
I
Oh
know.
my god. Again, I don't like
Yeah.
black or white either. I say that's racist. I use the term good witch, but I say good means a lot of things. I take it more into high vibration, lower vibration. And I
Mm,
think everything that you just said were very equal philosophy, which I think is where modern witchcraft is going away from the days of the 80s Wicca, good or bad, and all this. And we do have to go into this darker place, like you're
yeah.
saying, somebody's abuse and stuff. So I do
Yeah.
think that that is a trend, which is good. So again, and now witchcraft is you're very public. You're a public speaker. You're known. You've got a celebrity to you. How do we stay? Is there an issue staying authentic with how witchcraft has become trendy? And
Mm.
it's everything between Hollywood and just social media and TikTok witches, witch talk and stuff. How do we say our purity?
I love that you're asking this question because you're really gonna love 13 Keys to Becoming Dangerous. Like truly. I feel like that book is going to blow your mind because the opening intro talks about just the question you just asked. And
Yay.
I think this is my belief and my opinion, I'll say that I think we need to do better. We need to make witchcraft dangerous again. That's the whole theme of Becoming Dangerous is, you know, if we're not disrupting, we're not accessing the true depth of our power, right? If we're not willing to meet our own edge of what's possible, we're definitely not accessing the full potential of our power. I think there's an entryway. Social media is an entryway, right? It's an entry drug, and as someone that has very large social platforms, I know this because I am that entryway. But I'm also very aware that if I just post a video summoning the grandfathers and it's a, 15-second, viral piece of content, have I changed somebody's hearts and awakened them to their true power? Probably not. But have maybe I left a little spark of something in there? Yes, but that it can't it for me, it's never meant to stop there. I'm not doing that to build a social platform because I want a social platform. I'm doing that to drop a spark down in the middle, in the center of somebody's body. So, I don't care if it's my mystery school or yours or a book, it doesn't matter to me where you go, but if I can drop a spark somewhere, some way, somehow to whether it's a spiritual path or really honing in on spell crafting, if I've dropped a spark, I've done something. Um, but a lot of people stop there, and we see,
Yeah.
you see across all platforms, and I think that we need to make witchcraft dangerous again.
I love that. I can't wait for your book. And agree. We should be the thought. Wait, maybe it doesn't have to be like this. Maybe I could take, the power back.
Yes.
Danger is good. I always call myself a gateway drug.
Yeah, that's exactly it, but that we need that, like,
Yeah.
we need to look at someone and say, I mean, and you're beautiful, you're well spoken, you also do great work in the world, and so when someone looks at you, they're gonna say, "Oh, I mean, that could be me too." Like if someone can't see themselves in us, then we can't open the door. And to me, social just opens the door. Now, there are downsides to that too, because there's a lot of my personal witchcraft practice that I don't share online. Some things we keep close to our chest. Some things I share in mystery school. I do have a group called Witch School. We, have a group where I post weekly content and go live and I do lots of instruction and I share a lot of my personal practices there. And of course, in the high priest and high priestess path, I share, what's going on in my field, times when things get bumpy or times when I'm pulling in big, big power. But on my social platforms, I really don't share all the things. Like this full moon is an example that we've just recently been through. My practice was very personal. It was for me, to me, and I'm good at holding containers for this is for public consumption and this is not. It doesn't
Right.
mean I'm not gonna still keep dropping those sparks. I'm gonna do it continually. But in my inner circle, I'll share more, but in my own practice, there are certain things that I think that need to be just for us.
I agree wholeheartedly. Here's the public and here's the behind that you're not ready for
Yeah.
or whatever that is.
And I'll
Now
talk
you
about that. I'll tell people that, by the way. I don't hide the fact that don't share everything online because I
right.
also want them to not share everything online. I wanna teach the lesson of bring your power in and keep it close to your chest, share with little bits, but keep it close to your chest. So I have to talk about the fact that that's how it goes in order to truly be authentic.
I love that. Thank you for that answer. Now before we go, you are a successful entrepreneur and businesswoman yourself. And again, a lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, don't think they have to choose between success and being spiritual
Mhm.
and the mundane world and the regular world. Have you ever seen issues with that? Or is there advice you give somebody that you can take it into this path?
Well, I don't play like that. To me, money is just energy. It's how we exchange energy. It is the primary currency of what we do to create an exchange, and we all need it to survive. And I have 20 years of international business development experience in the nonprofit world, and I opened my first business by hanging my own shingle after doing nonprofit work, across the globe for a long time, and I still do that work, and I do it because I love it. I like being of service to organizations that make a true difference in the planet, and it keeps my business skills sharp. So, I've been in business for a long time, and so Moon Temple Mystery School is a business. It runs like a business. It's a school. It runs like a business, and I treat it as such. Um, I think there's lots of leeway in there for mutual aid and support, and I mean, I come from a social impact field, so I believe that I bring those principles into my business, but at the end of the day, I truly believe that as leaders and teachers, when we are resourced, right, whether it's sleep, food, money, bills paid, energy resource, we are better teachers.
Yeah.
And we then teach the example. Now, I am aware that a lot of people hold the idea that to be spiritual is to release all attachment to material. I can be completely detached from material and still have a mortgage for my house because I want to foster the land I live on and create a temple
Yeah.
to live in, to breathe in, to work in, and so I think it's an it's never an or, but I have business skills.
Yeah. No, you're great. I
I have
love
business
that.
skills.
Again, it's like,
Money's just energy, and I love money. Everybody that knows me knows that I teach them to start saying things like, "I love money.
yeah,
Money does grow on trees." If anything, just to create the energy of abundance, like, just
yeah,
nature is abundance. It's nature's the best teacher, which we talk about in Sacred Magic of the North. Nature is abundant already, and
it's
so
already
for us to open ourselves up to abundance, we just have to learn how to go into that flow, and it starts with things like deconditioning our beliefs around money, because a lot of us were raised by parents that were raised by parents from the Great Depression. And so there's we could have a whole episode on where I think a lot of money blocks come from.
yeah,
And one of the easiest ways to do it is just start talking to money like you love it. You find
yeah.
a nickel on the ground. Oh, I love you, nickel. You're going to come for a
Me
ride
too.
in my pocket. Right, in a $20 bill or something that comes into your field, it's like, "Oh, thank you, I love you, money, I love you," and I know that right there is gonna make some people very uncomfortable to hear, but if you want more abundance, that's a good place.
Yes. I tell people to think like a leprechaun. I tell
Oh,
them to
yeah.
roll around on the shag rug, throwing up money around, going, "Your
I
money is
love
easy.
it.
Money is fun. Money it comes to me on Oh my God, I love
So
that
you
so
have
they
I can feel that energy in you. You have a very comfortable relationship with money. I love
yeah,
it. Leprechaun,
I always say it's just energy.
just
It's
energy.
just
Mhm.
energy. Oh my God, you are beautiful. I could talk for 3 hours, but
Me
we
too.
can't.
Maybe we need to
So
do a show just on money.
I think we should do a show just on Monday. All right. So if people are going to, how could they get more of Tahverlee?
Oh,
So let's
yeah.
know again your website, where they can get your books, any appearances you come up, or mid month you have something just dropping right now. Where can they get more
Yes.
of you? Online, on everywhere.
Well, with a unique name like Tahverlee, you can pretty much search in that name on any platform and you'll find me. It's Tahverlee. So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, find me there. All of my books and tour appearances are at tahverlee.com, which is my author site. And there it'll link you to mystery school classes. You can, if you go to tahverlee.com, you can pretty much find everything. Like that's like a hub. Um, and my Oracle deck is coming out in September. So book 1 is out now, the North. Book 2, the East, will be out in October, followed by, of course, Becoming Dangerous, the South and the West. And so you can get on my mailing list at tahverlee.com. You'll get all the notices as everything comes out. And I do have a really super special um, free class for anybody that's pre-ordered the Oracle deck, and it's called Creative Divination. And we're going to explore how to use more creativity to enhance our divination and then reverse that order using divination to inspire our creativity so they flow together. So you'll find all of that at tahverlee.com.
Oh, I love that. You guys go there, follow her, like her, do all those things that we need to do. Um, honor and enjoy having you on the Witching Hour, bringing your beautiful magic to the Witching Hour. Any last words for anybody before we go?
Yes, put your phone away. Do a 20-minute walk a day from now and this whole next cycle, wherever you're at and whenever you're listening to this, set a commitment of even just 15, 20 minutes a day. Start breaking up with the addiction to your device. Set it aside. I promise you, you're gonna start noticing how much more there is available to you, how much more magic is available to you. And then go cast the spells and do all the things. But start with putting your phone down and go for a walk by yourself.
Naked.
Naked. Naked. Yeah.
Naked. I love that. And that is how I feel. So thank you. Thank you, Tahverlee. You
Thank you,
guys,
Patty.
check her out.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you.